Well, greetings. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tom Kuhn, and welcome to the 120th episode of Lightbulb Moments. Thanks for joining us, whether you're joining us live or whether you're watching the YouTube recording. We're glad you're with us. So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to check out past episodes of Lightbulb Moments. I'm Tom Kuhn. I'm the host and curator of Lightbulb Moments. Remember, money isn't the most important thing in life, but it is reasonably close to oxygen on the gotta have it scale, according to Zig Ziglar. At Qnity, we're here to make what's complicated, text heavy, and theoretical into a simple, visual, and actionable path towards greater prosperity for you to go from complexity, confusion, and overwhelm to a clear path. Remember to prosper, manage your ATM, the three currencies we have in life: attention, time, and money. And it's not lost on us that you're spending your precious time with us today. So thank you. We love hearing from you. Submit any Lightbulb moments of your own or potential guests. Last week, we had a great episode with Minter Dial from London. And what a fantastic session. I don't even know how to summarize it. But I would absolutely recommend listening to the YouTube on this. He covered a variety of different topics, including conversations and AI and empathy, and gave us some very strong points of view on life. And ultimately, it resulted in a dinner invitation of yours truly into London, which I'm probably going to accept. This week, we have Sam Brocato joining us from New York City. Sam is a regular, and in terms of describing Sam, it's a long list of different things that Sam has sunk his teeth into the beauty industry. Today, we're going to discuss a variety of topics, including AI, summer, vacations, and lifelong learning, amongst other things. So we're going to get to Sam in a few minutes here. So at Qnity, we're here to provide financial wellness for students through our Money EDU program, for working professionals in our Money Pro, and then for owners and managers and those that think and act like owners, our Money SBO, which is financial management for small businesses. Industry advocacy, we do have a segment here. I'm going to invite Erin and give her the mic here. Good morning, Erin. How are you? We'll get you off mute. And what we're going to talk about here is there is a call to action right now, and I'm going to have Erin speak to it. Good morning, Erin. How are you?
Good morning, Tom. How are you?
Good. I have essentially some of the same slides we had from last week, but Erin, to kind of tee this up here, tell us about what's going on, and there's a call to action and why it's important to everybody and what to do about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, for those of you who are repeat guests, I want to make sure that I don't cover too much on the point, but there's a very serious proposed rule out there in the government that really actually has a threat to close more than half of all beauty schools in the next 18 to 24 months. And so it's called gainful employment. We do have some posts kind of explaining what this rule is, why it matters, why it will affect you. It is really, really important. And so if I can leave you with one call to action, is to post a comment on a little bit about you as an employer, the type of candidates that you employ at your salon and spa, and what it would mean to you if you did not have access to trained and quality candidates in your business. And so there's more details if you want to look at it on the actual post. But what we really want you to do is go to regulations.gov and the specific comment period and actually post your comment there. And so if you're looking for specific scripting, we're working on some of that. Axe has amazing resources as well. But this is a huge, huge risk to employers and the industry at large. So please post your comment. Your voice matters, and you have to do so before June 20th.
Thanks, Erin. Yeah, it's a very time-sensitive call to action. I have not commented much about gainful employment, but again, I have some comments on it. Theoretically, it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea, and I think the intentions are there's good intentions behind it. The problem is it's so flawed. It's so flawed in its lack of the measurements are a fiasco. The data that's being used to make these decisions are suspect. So in a nutshell, it's not such a bad idea to create accountability. And there's certain reasons for it. And certainly the intention for someone to go to a career college is that they're going to get a good job. The problem is in all the peripheral and the whole approach to the whole thing. And I'll leave it at that for now because we've talked about that quite a bit. So Erin, thanks for joining us. Okay.
Thanks all.
So my light bulb moment this week was really it's a series of light bulb moments, and they're actually going to be the basis of the conversation that I'm going to have with my friend, collaborator, Golden Lightbulb winner, and all that. So we're going to get to Sam in a moment. But really, when I thought about what I wanted to talk to Sam about, when I was connecting with him before we even had our prep conversation, he mentioned, yes, I'm about ready to go on an 8-day vacation. And that spurred an interest in me. And so I said, let's add to the list of topics summer vacations. And when I sent the text, the comma was inadvertent. So it's sort of like summer, comma, vacations. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, why that's also a light bulb moment for me. Lifelong learning. Certainly, Sam is someone that really embodies lifelong learning, and we're going to have some very specific examples about that, and a little bit of inspiration. And then the subject of AI, which I know nothing about, and I am one of many people that understands the magnitude of this topic, both the positive and the negative, the incredible opportunity and the incredible threats that goes into AI. And ultimately, it's a subject that even as of today, I get a text from my son about this AI company that's going to take off. It was like three or four different text messages. So it's certainly a big conversation. And I think it's a great one for Sam to lead and me just be part of the conversation with all of you. So those are my light bulb moments. I'm going to reserve them for the conversation with Sam. So Sam, good morning. Let's bring the mic to you. And how are you?
Hey, Tom. Real good. Real good. Just sitting here with my golden light bulb behind me.
Awesome.
And
well,
looking forward to talking to you.
So let's get right into summer and then comma vacations. And, one of the reasons, so when I reached out to you and we talked about you being a guest, you says, yes, you're coming up with a eight day trip, which I think I've come to find isn't entirely a vacation, but you have aspirations for some other vacations. And so from a frame this standpoint, I decided, I think it was 10 days ago, that I'm going to take the last 3 weeks of August off. And I'm taking a road trip. We're doing that kind of stuff. And so for those listeners today, Sam, that here we are, we're all grinding away here. We have all these threats going on. We're running small businesses. We're running schools. We're leaders. I think it's worthwhile leading up into, as we have summer solstice coming up here, to talk a little bit about time off. What are you going to do? Where are you going? Tell us about your 8 days, and then what are your aspirational time off going forward?
Well, first off, I just want to point out that one of the things I've always done is believe that leaving your business and see how well it does without you is a good way to learn what you need to do to make sure it does really well without you there. So in a career of 50 years, this is just another time when we jump in the car and leave town for a week or two. So Holly and I are going to our home in Louisiana, in Lafayette, Louisiana. We keep our home down there, always grounded with where we both were raised. And so we'll go down there, with the swimming pool and the bicycles and chill out. I got some construction work that needs to be done. She's got some things she wants to have done on the house itself. So one of our rules has always been, you need somewhere to escape to. It can be an Airbnb, it can be any number of things. But I would say 80% of the time that we're going to be there over this approximately 8 days, many times we extend it and we say, we're going to stay 2 more days. Or the people in the salon call and say, you don't have to hurry back. We'll spend a lot of time, relaxing, taking it easy, but we'll also spend a lot of time talking to contractors and all that. We got different things to do. It's just an upkeep. It's like a summer home, but we try to go every season for a week or so. So for us, this is a pre-vacation vacation, actually.
All right, so we'll get to the if this is the pre, let's get to the other one in a moment here.
Yeah.
But Dan Sullivan, who I talk about frequently, speaks of three different types of days that we can have. One is sort of a buffer day; it's a setup day. The other is like a focus day where you focus on what your greatest value to the marketplace is, and most importantly, there's free days.
Yeah.
And he says plan your free days first. And free days are really the precursor to creativity and breakthroughs. Have you found free days for you to be a precursor towards, new ideas and sort of rejuvenated look at your business?
Absolutely. And being pretty much a workaholic, and I just have always been very, very curious. And I recently got stuck at home for 3 days. I didn't feel well. So I was sitting either right here where I am now or over on the sofa. And I spent the entire time researching one of the topics I think we're going to talk about in a minute. And and what happens is those times when you're really focusing, all of a sudden there's mind explosions. There's so many ideas that come up. But one of the things I have discovered, Tom, you don't get good ideas if you're not curious and searching and looking. Like right now, a couple of days ago, I started playing with sound therapy. And I've played with it over the years, but I'm particularly interested in it because of tonal quality of the sound and how it brings you into focus on the things that need to be done and the things you want to do. So I definitely get inspired by pulling back and working on my life, not just being in my life. Definitely.
So if this upcoming trip, which sounds to me like it's a blended trip with a lot of different purposes, is a pre-vacation, what does the I'll call it the real vacation look like, where you're maybe a little more off the grid?
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier to you that I have some friends I've seen watching them on Instagram a little bit, and they're down in Abaco, and Holly and I have friends that have boats and a lot of different people that go to islands and all this. So I'm going to reach out to a few people and see what's available for rent or whatever. And she and I are going to go on, we're calling an exotic getaway, where we spend a week and a half, 2 weeks, and really stay off the grid, really do the barefoot walk the whole time, and just maybe some lightweight reading and all, but truly unplug. Because I'm a real believer in the essence of joy and happiness is all inside of us, and there's all sorts of things going on around us, but being really peaceful. And I do think it's different for different people. So this exotic vacation, so to speak, on the beach somewhere, or near a beach and near some moving water, including the ocean, those are some of my parameters. I do think that we can train ourselves to wake up happy. It isn't the easiest thing. I'll mention something in a few minutes that'll give you some guidance on it, but I think it'll be helpful. But yeah, that's it. It's a 2 weeks of exotica, and not a long trip, by the way. I don't want to go too far out of our time zone because I don't want to have a lot of jet lag, and I don't want to have a lot of getting involved time. But I do need this 8-day vacation as a preamble to the real chill out. I just can't jump into a chill out and totally. I have to kind of segue into it.
Well, that's a light bulb comment there. I believe if I got it right there, train yourself to wake up happy. Is that what you said?
Definitely. Yes.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I even in the worst of times, I'll generally, sometimes I don't want to wake up maybe, or I'm laying in bed, but it takes me about 10 minutes to go, oh, I am so thankful, and my most typical thoughts are about particularly my 2 siblings that have passed away. And I think what they wouldn't give to be here. I mean, Maria liked coffee a lot more than I like it. And I really like to have a cup of coffee. So I think sometimes you have to always have those little angels that are around you that are whispering in your ear, little Jiminy Cricket saying, God, I wish I were there with you. And I'm like, well, I'm going to be here for you then. So anyway, train yourself to wake up happy. I'll recommend a book in a minute.
That's priceless. I love that. I love the personal story around it too.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious for those of you listening in today. Put in the chat if you would like to so indulge a little bit what time off would look like for you. What I think is interesting, Sam, is you're setting some very definitive parameters. It's one thing to have this idea about taking time off. It's the other thing to say, okay, I need to be near an ocean. I need to have a precursor vacation. I need to do. So put in the chat. I'm just curious if anybody's taking time off this summer. What are you going to do? Do you have a bucket list? So let's allow ourselves a little bit on light bulb moments here to indulge ourselves into something that is really truly in the spirit of filling your bucket. Sam, I want to switch gears. We have two more topics, and I could take them in either order. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it on the order of lifelong learning next. Then we'll get into AI.
I think good.
All right.
I agree with that.
So the reason why I thought of this topic is I think we've already heard from you today that you're a guy that's a lifelong learner. And what I remember when we've chatted recently here, and you added a little bit of context to some of this, but your chemistry, you diving into chemistry. And I'm thinking, look at this guy. I mean, he's got all this other stuff going on. He's on boards, he volunteers, he's running a business, he's got a family life, and he's just totally digging into like chemistry. And I'm going to have you talk about that a little bit more. And also, you're going to make the link, I believe, from lifelong learning into curiosity. So let's talk about this a little bit next, about lifelong learning, curiosity, and some of your passions.
Yeah. I do believe, I think on my Instagram page, I put curious entrepreneur or something like that. And I do think the word curiosity is almost a sacred sort of word, because it brings you to a place that is a reflection of what, in my personal belief, we're really here to do, and that is to be. That's what we're here to do, is to be. There's a song I love by James Taylor, a verse from it. He says, "The secret to life is enjoying the passage of time." And the fact of the matter is, we try to make it so much more than that. Yeah, the secret to life might be about trying to add value to the passage of time. It might be to make connections in the passage of time. But at its pure essence, time is passing, and we need to be in that moment to really try to enjoy and extricate as much from it as possible. So curiosity for me is a trigger word. It's a trigger word for, okay, are you really growing and learning and moving forward and enjoying the process? Because every day time goes by, you have less time in front of you than you have it behind you. So count your blessings, and maybe even count a few of your days, but don't get too obsessed with it, because it is critical.
So your curiosity led you into chemistry.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to listen to a few podcasts or read a book here and there, but I think you kind of sometimes take it to another level.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think most people know, I walked into my first lab in 1988 or 89 at an old 7-Up plant off of Hiawatha Street in your town in Minneapolis. And I'll never forget walking in and smelling thioglycolic acid and seeing vats and all that. And I was like, wow, this is so amazing. And I met my first chemist, Wally Labach and Bob Va. And that led me in the interest of product making. And I got all caught up just in the idea of promoting and marketing and education, spent my entire career doing it. But when COVID came around, I had already started over the years kind of mixing and making stuff. I took 2 certifications in aromatherapy over the last 6 years. And Amy Galper is my aromatherapy master. And she works with me, and she comes in the salon. Fortunately, she's in New York. And so I took the aromatherapy piece, and I was creating creams and salves and all. But then I stumbled on a thing called Formula Botanica. And it's an online training. It's the world's leader in online training. They're based out of England. And as I like to jokingly say, it's a group of really tough women. It's just, they're tough. I started down the path. I went through halfway through organic hair care development, and they stopped me and said, no, we want you to go through organic skincare development. And I said, well, I really don't care about formulating skincare. And they said, no, we want you to do that. I said, okay. Okay. So I got obsessed with it. So everything in our home now, Washington, everything that Holly and I use, it's all stuff I make in my little lab. But then I went back and I got my organic skin care, hair care, and I went on to get 6 certificates from them that totaled upwards of 300 hours. And I have 2 more to go. One is an advanced certificate in microchemistry. And I don't know if I'm gonna do it. I may. So to me, that thing about being a student for life is part of being alive. And I highly recommend, whatever it may be, to anybody that you do your trainings and learning, but take some things that are you hear people all the time talk about passion projects. I think what you and I were talking about earlier, Tom, is a bit of a passion project about the images and all. But I think having passion projects, those are critical. So for me, digging into something I love, I burned the boats a long time ago. I had no intention of ever leaving the beauty industry. There was a time in my life where I was investing in real estate so much that I was getting more real estate than I was getting beauty. And I said, you know what? Hold the horses. And I literally sold almost 100 pieces of real estate I owned. I've been buying since I was 22. And I narrowed it down to just a few. So good quality, and that way it's manageable and it doesn't distract me from what I really want to do. Standing in a hair salon with people flying all around me and the energy, that's just this home, the buzz of the salon, the people you meet. The people I meet is just so amazing. So yeah, chemistry is very difficult for me because I'm definitely not a hardcore left brain person. I'm much more into I love the way it's finished and smells and all that.
Wow. Well, that piece you just said at the very, very end there about it's not something that comes easy to you, I think is a little bit more of a testament that you're not only a lifelong learner, you're not afraid to challenge yourself and have a little rigor around it. So
yeah, you have to be disciplined.
So let's get to really the final sort of scheduled topic. All right. And we'll see where this one goes. Is the whole subject of AI. And as I mentioned when we set this thing up, that I'm in the same boat as many, many people, that by the minute we're reading about how it's, the influence of it, the impact of it. And yet I think we have no idea. And I also admit that I really don't even know how to frame my understanding into some structured way to digging deeper into the topic, but you've done that. You have taken your discipline, you've taken your interest, and you've channeled that into the subject of AI.
Yeah.
So tell us more.
Okay, I'm definitely not an expert, but I have spent many, many, many hours on every imaginable place I could go to find information about it. And I started off with it as, well, let me put it this way. Well, half of my face is totally smiling about AI. The other half of my face is frowning and concerned. I did a little quick diagram before we started, and I wrote on the left good, then I wrote evil, in the middle I wrote opportunity, and then I put an arrow down from opportunity to future. And left of future I put my and thee, and then to right of future I put humanity. And that kind of diagram is an idea of where we are at this inflection point. AI, for good or bad, it's here. It's not something that's going to be here. It's growing at a super rapid rate, and it can be immediately applied in every single imaginable part of your business. So here's a suggestion. One of the things I did, and I use Bard. bard.google.com, I think that's Google's thing, and I use ChatGPT, of course. I go back and forth between them, and then there are hundreds and hundreds of add-ons to that. So I go in and I ask the chat, I'll say, what should it look like for a person to enter my hair salon in Soho, New York City? And usually I get specific, and I put the zip code, because then it can zero in on what that is. Well, that's one of the 2 to 5 most expensive neighborhoods in America. So it immediately is going to give me a feedback on that thought. So then I go from that and I walk in and I'll say, what should this guest expect? And it'll give me a dialogue. probably one of the, and then I continued through the salon. I did the interaction with the customer. I thought, what if I'm a male? I'm a 50-year-old male and I'm dealing with a 20-year-old girl, a young lady that wants her hair done. And first off, I lie about my age. But what is some of the verbiage that I might be more comfortable for both of us in preparing to do her hair? Or so it's an endless thing. But the thing about it that's amazing, Tom, is the prompts, the way you prompt it and ask the questions. So you can ask chat a question about the customer service part of your business. Pull out what it says, and what's remarkable, and those of you who've used it know this, you type in the prompt, and what I do is I hit the send bar and I go 1, 2, and then 2, maybe 3 seconds. It goes, wow, everything's there instantaneously. You can take, copy and paste chat into Bard, and Bard will give you thoughts and opinions on what came from chat. I dropped a 2016 year-end financial statement. I used no name and anything else because you want to be careful about your private information. I dropped that into it. That was one of the first things I did. And boom, Holly and I live in this apartment here in New York City. Every now and then the person that lives above us would make some noise. I typed in, write me a letter to my co-op board complaining about footfall from the person above me. I took it verbatim, put Ivanka's name in the line and signed it from us. She wrote back, and what a great letter. And immediately they took action. Because in the past, I would write something that was more emotional. Tell that person they're making so much noise, whatever. So I'm going to make a couple of quick comments. One, there's a fellow named Mo Gaudat, G-A-W-D-A-T. Mo Gaudat is considered one of the fathers of AI. He has two really interesting things about him. First off, he wrote a book about happiness, about being happy right after his 21-year-old son died of a routine appendectomy operation. And he discovered some things about happiness that are just amazing. I just before this call listened to a 7-minute talk with him again about that. So M-O-G-A-W-D-A-T, Mo Gaudat. Then he also wrote a book called Scary Smart. And the book Scary Smart is about AI. It's why he left Google and what he saw happening that frightened him when he saw that on Friday, a machine learned to do something that it couldn't do for maybe a month in trying to do it. And all of a sudden on Friday, it picked something up. And on Monday, all the machines were picking it up. And by the end of the week, they were all replicating all this stuff. So the thing we have to be aware of is if some people say AI is going to take my job, AI is going to ruin us. No, AI is not going to take your job. A person using AI is going to take your job.
That's hold on here.
Yeah, that's not my quote. I listened to
That's a good one.
People say it is a good one, and you remind yourself of that. So head in the sand is, I'm sorry, but it's a butt in the wind, and that is not going to get you. So you have to really be on your game. But it's so diverse what's going on. Pick a few areas that you want to pick apart. For me personally, I'm almost 100% salon, because that's my job. I'm the leader. We've got 50-ish people over there. I want to make sure that they're doing as well as they can, and that I'm helping guide them. The second thing is that the speed that AI is growing at is pretty astounding. We're seeing just the very beginning, but I would say in as little as 8 to 20 months, it's going to be dramatically different. But here's a really good news. So yesterday, Patrick, who does a lot of work around our salon for us, who comes in, we just built up our photo area I was telling you about earlier. I had just asked chat for probably the 10th time, what about the service industry, most particularly hairstylists and barber stylists and all that? Where are we in 5 years from now? Every time I've asked that question, it's come back with personal service businesses in the top 7. Sometimes it's the top 3, 4, 5, but contractors, people using their hands and working with the soft skills of being able to say, well, I like the way this cabinet is, but as Holly told Patrick, no, I want it to be 12 bigger than this. So she added on more, so it goes way up to the ceiling.
Mm.
But those soft skills are like a wonderful protection for us. They're giving us as service providers the time that both the AI makers, including our governments around the world, are scrambling to get. Everybody said we need a 6-month pause. Well, thankfully for us, because of what we do, we have a time to really refine how we deliver utilizing AI. One thing someone told me the other day was maybe you would consider getting rid of your front desk. I don't agree with that. I want to double down on customer service because I believe, and I heard this from someone maybe a month and a half ago, luxury will be defined in the AI future that we're moving into more and more and more by the human touch. We're going to be the differentiator. A robot cutting somebody's hair, coloring somebody's hair, things like that, that's not necessarily what we have to think about. Now, color formulation, if you're a colorist, jump on it, pay attention to it. There'll be things out, I would say by the end of this year, you'll see several major apps from major companies that are working with color formulation and all that. Don't be afraid of it, embrace it, find where it fits in your business, because more than anything, and I think, Tom, you guys have talked about this over and over, a brand is a living thing. It's a living thing of a culture. It's something that's guided along. And whether you're there yourself, whether Holly and I are there for the next 2 weeks or not, the brand is not going to not be there. So what we're doing is fine-tuning our brand and adding the plugins, the add-ons that we can, and just going forward, because we can't change, in my opinion, we can't change what's already come about. And the last comment, if I have 2 more seconds here, Tom.
Yeah, take your time, actually. We're good on time. I'm completely eating this up. I'm actually keeping a lot of notes here. So
Okay.
You're on a roll.
Okay. By the way, I made a comment. I wrote down, where do service providers land? And I just told you we land up very high in that future world. And I think that's why gainful employment is scary about taking away the schools. I went to beauty school totally on grants and federal money, and you know, the calculations of how much money I've had go through my businesses over the 50 years is massive. And there it is. And I was a high school dropout, and with a federal aid, they told me either, you know, you go to school. But the other thing is, how do you get to a point where you have a home in Louisiana, you plan an exotic vacation for a few months, and you have a lovely apartment in New York City, and you're from Louisiana? How do you do that? Well, you do it by paying attention to what's going on, particularly in moments like this. AI is going to create between 15 and 20 trillion dollars of income between now and 2030. And you can either participate in it or not. Now, AI isn't necessarily the best place to go for financial advice, but it will give you some ideas. If you go to AI, go to Bard. Bard is Google. So when you hit it, it gives you a chance. It'll give you its AI, huge information, definitive answers and suggestions. If you ask it to cook dinner for you, tell it what you have in the cabinet, and it'll tell you what to cook. But it'll also at the bottom give you a Google tab. So you hit the Google and it goes straight to Google with an answer for the same question. So if you ask, where do I invest? And you don't have to, you can invest with $100. NVIDIA, Adobe. I think Adobe, I watched it the last couple of days, go up $15 a day. So there's a whole world of AI investment for those of you who are novice and you want to start your journey on investing in savings. Now it's an incredible inflection point. Yes, there are going to be bad players, good players, but there's also going to be this moment where in chaos always comes opportunity, always. And the big conversation around the world's first trillionaire is already out there beginning to build their future. And I think as importantly, because we didn't talk about this at all, but you know, the first person that'll live healthy and clear-mindedly to 150 years old has already been born. that kind of longevity, that person walking the earth right now might be Rowan, our little 2-year-old granddaughter. I'm not sure, but that has to do with an understanding of the whole picture and being truly holistic about it. So I wouldn't fear AI. If you want to go in and say, hey, AI, write me an app for an interaction with my guests coming into my salon where they can check in, check out, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. I take the code, I send it to a guy that's an IT guy that I've worked with for a long, long time. I sent it to him. He wrote me back, where did you get this? And then he wrote back quickly, you got this from AI. He says, this is 90% correct.
Wow.
So think of disruption at that level, but then think about cutting hair and coloring hair and hugging people and being close to people. We're in such a good place right at the moment. I just think that everybody needs to take the umbrella off, let the sun shine, and pay attention to what's there, that can nourish us, and be aware. Like I always jokingly say, I'm Italian. I like to sit in the corner of the restaurant so I can see the front door. And it's a big joke. I don't like to sit with my back to the wall. You want to know from which way they're coming, because things are always going to be coming. It's not just AI, it could be having been so much on taxes, it could be insurance, any kind of thing. Things are always coming at us. And if we're going to be leaders, which we are, and we're momentary mentors throughout our lives, whether we want to be or not, we need to be constantly informed. The thing about it, though, is if you want to understand the quality of your information, well, right now, I was explaining, Holly and I walk usually back and forth to work every day. I ride the bicycle a lot, but I was explaining to Holly yesterday, because I've been spending so much time on YouTube looking at things that have to do with AI and the offshoots of it, that people on YouTube have higher viewerships than some of the top 20 television shows. So if you're watching, CNN, CNBC, Fox, whatever it is you're watching, you might want to do a little data research, which Tom, you've become a master of. You and Aaron and the Qnity family are doing such an amazing job of that for us and on our behalf. But I think if you do your research, you start making sure, like one of my new things I say to people is, if I don't know where a person sleeps at night, who they work for, that they do pay taxes, then I don't want to listen to them. I only want authentic, vetted,
Yep.
Thank you. Vetted material. And I said to you earlier, and I want to take my steps slowly and calculated. I don't want to run. I ran for years. I don't have enough time to run because I'm really not in a hurry to get to the end. So I want to make sure it's vetted. I want to make sure that I have information that may scare people in some way today, that people closest to me, particularly Holly. but one day they'll look back and go, oh, you were right. That's what's happening. So I think it's important to take it meticulously, methodically, and do your research. But AI is it's huge. It's so incredibly huge. Go on YouTube and ask for AI tutorials on prompts. How do I prompt AI? And then you can say, how do I prompt AI about customer service? How do I prompt AI about, like I put in the other day, give me a 1-week workout plan, 7 days a week for a 50-year-old male. I always lie about my age. For a 50-year-old male that wants to live on X amount of calories and is generally in good health. And in 3 seconds, it gives me something that I've started using. So come up with your ideas. Remember, life is about the quality of the questions you ask it. And that's the same thing that's going on here. It's just, you've got this, let's say you never had a smart, really smart best friend, cousin, uncle, dad, mom, whatever. You do now. Now you have Harvard Business School and every other thing that's ever been spit out by humanity, both good and bad, at your fingertips. So I don't mean to sound overly excited about it, but I am, and if you want to really listen to Mo, start out. He'll scare you into being very alert and I think there's a lot of money to be made for those of you who are real pure capitalists about it. 15 to 20 trillion dollars inside 7 years. What happened with COVID? I forget how many trillion. I think it was 3 to 5 trillion that was blown out like a cannon. Now this isn't just blown out like a cannon, but it's wealth that's going to be created, and that kind of wealth is just, it's there for the taking. And I don't mean that in a greedy way. I'm a great believer in the great game of business and earning money. It's a game. You look at the financial statement. I'm at war right now with my point of service, our provider of our credit card fees. And I'm going to watch every month. I'm going to whittle down every number. So I ask AI, what should I be paying for fees like that? And it gives me a range. In that case, it even gave me names of companies that are the very lowest. I didn't know that Walmart and Costco both have provider services that we can use that are 1.79 to 2.3% for credit card processing fees. So it's just all these nuances, and once you decide that you're going to live in a space and occupy that space, whether it's your marriage or your business, then you really have a lot of fun in the sandbox, and you really do. It just makes there's a lot of joy.
Sam, I don't even know how many light bulb moments we've had in this episode, but I'm going to wave the light bulb flag here, because we've had a lot of light bulb moments. I almost feel like I want to just unpack this entire episode. And I think you have helped make AI, I think you've given me and several other people sort of like a starting point on this.
Yeah.
It's one thing to know that it's coming and to do something about it, but I think you gave us a roadmap for how to get started. So I feel like I've got a handful of quotes that I go back to 1,000 times, and I'll sort of end with this quote as we send you off. And it's from Thoreau, and that is, many have dated the beginning of a new era with the reading of a book. I also believe many have dated the beginning of an era with the meeting of a person, with a light bulb moment. Yeah. And you've given several light bulb moments today that truly brings the human side to AI and the aspirational, but also not being in denial about the threat. So let's everybody give Sam a big virtual round of applause.
Thank you, guys.
What
Always
a great
pleasure.
episode. You should be like you are kind of a standing guest here. And I'm going to come see you in New York at the end of August. We're going to talk about that later. And then we got another passion project that we're going to reveal on a later episode that you and I talked about later, but we're going to save that secret idea for later. So
yeah, good luck everybody in doing your research. But
All
do
right.
it. All right.
Thanks again, Sam. Fantastic
Bye,
session.
everybody.
All right. So, wow. I mean, I feel like as soon as I get done with all of you today, I'm gonna go to work here. But we need to wrap up here today, and a couple just announcements. We do have our execution workshop coming up in Minnesota here in a short amount of time. We had a bunch of people sign up last week on this. It's not too late. Heath Smith is leading this. And this is the most updated version of the Qnity execution system, featuring many new tools, as well as new perspectives and better ways to look at execution based upon 5 functions, 8 seasons, as well as our 13-week planners, which was the biggest hit over the last year in terms of a new tool. So this is for those that want to, I'll put it this way. Those that want the gritty way of getting things done for small business. So not too late to join us. Feel free to go to our website or put something in the chat, and we'll get you signed up. Thank you to Lightheart Sanders, the CPAs, who's been a great advocate for the compensation study and also sponsors Light Bulb Moments, as well as Ally Health, which is offered by a new division that we created. We didn't intend to create this new division, but we also knew that virtual mental health care needed to be brought into the beauty industry and make it affordable. And that's what really that's about. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd love hearing from you. Submit a light bulb moment and go to our website. And don't forget to listen to Aaron's Money O2 podcast. And I will, at this point, formally end the meeting. And I'm going to just stick around for a moment and read some comments. So all the best. We'll see most of you next week. Have a great week and take to heart some of the things that Sam shared with us today. Bye now.